recognized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet who millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
One of the things that I certainly have learned more about in the process of the Synod is the, if you will, wide varieties of understanding the ministry of the bishop, sometimes determined by cultural factors, sometimes determined, of course, by personal issues, the personality, the character of the bishop. But above all, and around or underneath all of that, has to be a foundation of who a bishop is called to be. And as Pope Francis has reminded us many times, a bishop is called to serve. His authority is service. And so to look for different ways in which a bishop can serve in any given society, in any given church, I think is very important. The bishop is not supposed to be a little prince sitting in his kingdom, but rather called authentically to be humble, to be close to the people he serves, to walk with them, to suffer with them, and to look for ways that he can better live the gospel message in the midst of his people.
This is a sign by the cardinals that rather than choosing somebody from Asia or from Africa, they wanted to actually insidiously nominate and elevate to the pontificate somebody who is American. It's the first time in history. But Robert Francis Prevost is no friend of Donald J. Trump. He is...
All right, so this is going to be a little bit of a hot topic. Welcome you to the evening show tonight. And congratulations to the Catholics who have a new pope out there. And I just want to preface this section of the show, this block that we're going to be talking about the new pope. I'm no longer Catholic. I changed over years ago, and I'm not saying this stuff to offend anybody watching this who may be Catholic. What I'm going to be doing is telling you what other people are saying and what's being indicated with what they're saying. And then I'm going to tell you some stuff that's might be out there in terms of what people are saying. Because right now it just seems like there's a whole lot of stuff out there as to what this new pope may mean for MAGA. Now, not necessarily America, but for MAGA. So I'm not disparaging anybody's religious faith. I am not going to talk negatively about the man, the office, the papacy, none of that. I'm just going to talk about specifically what's going on out there in the ecosphere as we talk about this new pope. So what you just heard, the first piece was the Pope himself, the new Pope, speaking, was it Leo the 13th, I believe, Leo the 14th is who he has taken as his name. So they were talking about the significance of that, and he wore different colors, whereas Pope Francis came out in white, which meant that he was going to be for the poor people. And then today, Pope Leo came out and he wore more traditional garb, but his past comes behind it. So the question that you have to ask yourself, or one of them today, is somebody to be judged upon their past or their works moving forward? Because if we're going to judge him on his past and his past statements, there might be some issues for people who aren't, aren't devout Catholics. So, I'm treading lightly here so as not to offend anybody. But the only way I can do this is just to jump right in it. I think the first and foremost, what we have to take a look at is what did our president say about this, and how did he look at the appointment or the election of this new pope? And here's what he said completely. Congratulations to Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, who was just named Pope. It's such an honor to realize that he is the first American Pope. What excitement and what a great honor for our country. I look forward to meeting Pope Leo the 14th. It will be a very meaningful moment. Indeed it will be. The President of the United States meeting an American Pope. Never happened before. This is brand new territory, everybody. This is new. So now let's start talking about what are people saying about the new Pope? What exactly is his history? Many of you probably have already seen some of this stuff today, but let me continue. This gentleman was on with Alex Jones, and he was talking. He's an author who has been studying the papacy for quite some time, and here's what his initial reaction was.
Of course, somebody who comes from Chicago, but also with a vast history in South America that connects him to the infamous Jesuit order. And he is from an order himself, the Augustinians, who have worked hand in hand with the Jesuits on the control of the educational establishment. Today, if you think about the main issues Trump is trying to fight, immigration policies, well, in this regard, he will have to fight against this Pope because he's very much a supporter of what the Democrats were doing, open borders and all the rest. It's going to be a war against Trump waged by the church every day, in which we will hear, of course, from this Pope what you might hear from the Democratic Party, which has demonstrated in the last few years to be the political branch of the Vatican Jesuit-led New World Order here in the United States. So it's not a good day. Some Americans might perceive it as a good day. For those who were hoping in a traditional Pope, in somebody who will support also a return to the Latin Mass, this will be, of course, a disappointment because this Pope has no intention in going back, but rather in moving forward.
So what was very interesting today is that this was an American Pope, an American from Chicago. He rises to the top of the Catholic Church. He comes out, he's introduced on the balcony there, and he gives his first words to the throng of people at the Vatican. And he doesn't speak a single word of English. Does it mean anything? Again, I'm not judging him. I'm just telling you what happened. Many of you probably saw it yourself. Many of you probably thought, well, that's odd. You're fluent in English. You're from America. You're the first American Pope ever. And you don't acknowledge that you're the first American Pope ever. You don't speak English. I mean, at least in terms of that initial address. I just thought that was odd. You would think at that point, you'd want to let the world know you are an American. I get it. You're in Italy. Sure. But at that point, you are also the first, you broke history. You are the first American Pope. Would not that have been a perfect time to address people in English, knowing that you had a worldwide audience watching, many of whom are in America, that you could have said, Nick, I'm sure people were waiting with bated breath, and what's he saying? He's speaking Italian or Spanish or something. He's not even acknowledging America. That was my first little red flaggy. I'm not judging, pointing it out. I wonder how you took it. You know, some people who are, I'm not going to say that. Let me see. Some people will overlook that and say it's no big deal. But I want to tie in the fact that, yes, he was in Italy, but he is the first American Pope in history. You would think someone who's American would give some nod to his country. But, you know, maybe I digress. Maybe I'm the one who was looking into it too much. But I'm not judging him. I'm going to let you see his stuff and then come up with your own, I won't say judgment. How about opinion? We'll go with that.
Is this light, or is he as bad as Francis?
He's worse than Francis.
Imagine that. This guy says he's worse than Pope Francis. Now, many of you, if you're not religious and don't practice and don't have much of a faith, you're probably like, what big deal? I don't care. But this is the head of 1 billion plus people religiously. As you saw when he came out on a balcony, there was probably 100,000 people just waiting. They've been looking at the smoke for 2 days trying to figure out, we're going to have a new leader. This is the leader of the Catholic Church. It's a big flipping deal. And so we can't just give it side eye and pretend it doesn't matter. It does matter. It does matter. Even for people like, Joe Biden. Remember, he's a devout Catholic. Yeah, we saw that. A traditional conservative pope might have said something about the stance that Joe Biden had on a number of issues. But then again, he didn't seem to have a problem with some of these issues. The former pope, I'm saying. So we need to hear from this pope right away. What's your stance on, where am I right now? Oh yeah, I'm on YouTube. Baby removal. What's your stance on Transformers? What's your stance on the alternative people in the army? What's your stance on boys playing girl sports? Tell us all those things from the perspective of the Pope and what you want your flock, the worldwide Catholic faith congregation to understand. This is the direction the church is taking. Because I'm not Catholic, but what I'm looking for is a Pope grounded in biblical tenets. Talk from the Bible. Don't give me your opinions. Don't try to be progressive. Talk to me from the Bible, which is why I left the Catholic Church, because having grown up in the Catholic Church, I went to Catholic grammar school, I went to Catholic high school, I almost went to Catholic college, and I drifted because I'm not hearing what I need to hear. It wasn't feeding me. It became too much of a ritual. Go Sunday, kneel down, get up, kneel down, get up, give them money, go home. And I'm like, feed me. I'm thirsty. And it wasn't happening. So I knew there was a problem years and years ago. I didn't want to just check in for 45 minutes, up and down, up and down, up and down, give some money, go home. That's not what I wanted. I wanted someone to open the Bible and really look into it and tell me, explain to me. You had me for 12 years exclusively. Every single day for 12 years, grammar school and high school, were there. Yeah. There wasn't any other distraction. And I went through 12 years and never got anything. Except, I'll get into it in Rumble, one of my problems I have with the Catholic Church. Not me, but a couple of friends. And how I found out. And that was it. I was done. I was completely done. Let's continue.
He appears to be globalist Francis Light, at least on the surface, light version of Francis, agreeing with most of it, but they build Francis as a moderate. Of course, you document that he's not, but you are the Vatican expert of experts. What is your take on this individual, and were you expecting this? Leo Zagami, and best-selling author, researcher, I should add. Go ahead, Leo.
Thank you, Alex, for having me on. This is, of course, a pivotal moment and a turning point in the history of the Catholic Church, following, of course, the teachings and what was already outlined by Pope Francis, who just before he went into hospital was working with the U.S. Bishop Conference on yet again waging war against the Trump presidency. This is a sign by the cardinals that rather than choosing somebody from Asia or from Africa, they wanted to actually insidiously nominate and elevate to the pontificate somebody who is American. It's the first time in history, but Robert Francis Prevost is no friend of Donald J. Trump. He is, of course, somebody who comes from Chicago, but also with a vast history in South America that connects him to the infamous Jesuit order. And he is from an order himself, the Augustinians, who have worked hand in hand with the Jesuits on the control of the educational establishment. Today, if you think about the main issues Trump is trying to fight, immigration policies, well, in this regard, he will have to fight against this Pope because he's very much a supporter of what the Democrats were doing, open borders and all the rest. When it comes down to transgenderism, and all that. That's another issue the Jesuits and, of course, this new Pope have been pushing, being open to transgenderism and the LGBT.
See, that's kind of one of the things where I draw the line in the sand. Yeah, there's a problem with that. And you know, it's funny. I don't know how to put disclaimers. Maybe I should get neon signs back there that I hit a button, and when I hit the button, it says different things, because I don't know how to get through to people sometimes. Maybe you guys can help me, because you can say the sky is green and they will hear you say, well, Barry said the sky was orange. Case in point, and this is what I'm talking about. I specifically said I wasn't judging him. My judgment is irrelevant. I'm not in a position to judge him. In fact, he basically has no bearing on my life. I'm telling you what people are saying. I said that, right? And just a little while ago, I get this comment. You knocked people when they complained about Trump when he was only in office for days. This Pope hasn't even been in for 24 hours and people here are acting like judges. Specifically said, not judging. Specifically said, not putting a judgment on this guy. What I said, and I will continue to say, is that there are things out there that you, even the person who just typed that, as a reasonably functioning adult, can look at and make your own opinion. My job here is to bring you what people are saying. Now you say, Barry, you're bringing all the negative stuff. No, I'm not bringing just negative stuff. There are 100,000 people out there in the Vatican. The upside takes care of itself. See, one of the problems I have is calling some man your holiness or the Holy Father. That's me. You may have no problem saying Holy Father, but that's not that guy's fault. That's just how Catholicism is. I only know one Holy Father, and he doesn't hang out in the Vatican. But that's an opinion. So now what I'm going to do is continue, as long as you know I'm not judging this guy because it's not my place. It's his place to judge him. It's his place to judge whether or not did Pope Francis do his will? It's our position to look and have scrutiny. It is our position to put yourself in a position to have reasonable discourse and questions and go back and forth and say, hey, I saw this. What do you think about that? Imagine me sitting across from you at a table and saying, hey, Fred, look what I saw about the Pope. What do you think about that? You know how people used to have conversations without there being trolls and people going, oh, you're judging. And no. We have a talk. So imagine this as a talk amongst a couple thousand friends. And everybody has their position and they're going to see something today and they can discuss it. Doesn't mean they're judging him. Doesn't mean I'm going to judge you. But it sounds like you don't want anyone even discussing this. That's a problem. Because I will always promote discourse as long as people aren't rude to each other. I'm not going to ban you for saying that. I'm just saying open your eyes and use these and type discourse. Give people your opinion. They may not like it, but at least it's your opinion, and then substantiate it without calling somebody a dolt. D-O-L-T, not A-D-U-L-T. D-O-L-T. Let's go.
And then you have, aside from all this, also the Vatican-China deal that this Pope will continue to support, which is a way for China of creeping inside the Catholic Church. The policies of the NGOs that, of course, are connected with the Vatican and the Catholic Church are the ones that have supported this massive immigration that has brought us in the situation where we are now. The, of course, systematic warfare by the judicial system is also waged with the support of the Vatican. So this is no friend of real America. This is actually going to become a problem because most people, simple people, the ordinary folk would say, wow, we finally have the first American Pope. What a great thing. It's not a great thing. And I have outlined in my new book that just came out how Pope Francis has rigged this conclave which nominated his successor so he could have, of course, 80% of the cardinals on his side and nominate somebody who will follow in the policies of Vatican II. Those policies that Pope Francis said were only completed by 50%. There's another 50% that will, of course, not only destroy what the remains of Christianity, but then eventually will bring us to the integration with other religions, because now the next thing this Pope will do will step down from his role of Pope and rather be perceived as a bishop amongst bishops to favor the unification of all Christian churches. It's going to be a war against Trump waged by the church every day, in which we will hear, of course, from this Pope what you might hear from the Democratic Party, which has...
Now, let me ask you a question. Some of you may be Catholic. I believe my faith is founded directly in the Bible. If it doesn't say it in the Bible, I don't really want to hear that from a preacher. So the question you have to ask yourself, are you giving him a pass just because he is the Pope? Or do you expect him to be a Pope grounded on, Jesus-based principles? See, that's a very big question. That doesn't require much argument. You either don't care, he's the Pope, and whatever he does is fine, or you're like, hey, listen, I'd like him to be a Pope grounded in the principles of Jesus, in the Bible. A red letter Pope. And those of you who read the Bible, you know what that means. A red letter Pope. This is the word, I believe in the Bible because Jesus said so. Now, some of you may not be there. You're like, yeah, the Pope's supposed to interpret and do what he wants. See, that's where there's a discussion difference right there. That's why a lot of people left the Catholic Church, because the foundation wasn't being upheld. And that foundation, first and foremost, those of you who say, you're judging him, no, he judges him. Here's the judgment that he will probably say. Where in the Bible does it say anything about it's okay to extract a child and do away with them? So if he comes out and says that, are you still with the Catholic Church? And I'm not asking you to leave. I'm asking you as a discussion point. If he comes out and says that he's okay with boys playing women's sports, show me where that's in the Bible. Are you okay with that? If it's okay, that's what you believe. If he comes out and says, yes, I embrace transformerism. That's interesting. I'm pretty sure back in Genesis, it was an Adam and an Eve. If he comes out and says, I am for the alternative lifestyles, is that a pope you want? Each one of these are questions I'm asking to you with no judgment, because you are going to determine at this point, is this a guy I want leading my church? Robin and I have walked out of many churches like, this guy here, I don't like what he's saying. See, the Catholic Church is run by, basically one guy. Lots of priests, cardinals, nuns, all kinds of things. But do people have the ability to scrutinize those core issues? I don't care if he said, you know what, we're no longer going to make people not eat meat during Lent. Okay, that's fine. You can eat meat. Maybe they can right now. I don't know. When I grew up, you couldn't eat meat during Lent. But I'm talking about the core issues that seem to divide society right now, none of which seem to be grounded in biblical principles. There's nothing I've seen that says it's okay to do those things I've previously mentioned. So the question to you is, are you okay if he says, yeah, I'm all for that?
Demonstrated in the last few years to be the political branch of the Vatican Jesuit-led New World Order here in the United States. So it's not a good day. Some Americans might perceive it as a good day. For those who were hoping in a traditional pope, in somebody who will support also a return to the Latin Mass, this will be, of course, a disappointment because this pope has no intention in going back, but rather in moving forward. He was born in Chicago. He's part of the Augustinians, which is an order which is actually older than the Jesuits. It's been around for a very long time, since the 12th and 13th century. They established themselves. He's been the president, though, of the Pontifical Commission for Latin America, and that's where he worked hand in hand with the Jesuits in pushing forward more liberation theology, more of a mix of Marxism and Catholicism, which is what the Church has been in the hands of Pope Francis, of course, that follows the dictates of the Second Vatican Council, in which the Church was taken over in the first half of the 1960s by Freemasons and Jesuits who had, of course, progressive values.
I do think one of the dark horses, and I think, unfortunately, he's one of the most progressive, is Cardinal Prevost. I don't think he's getting enough play. He is certainly on the short list.
Steve Bannon called this a week ago. Obviously, he's not a cardinal, but he called it. He nailed it. Because I think this guy's going to have the inside track. So now that this guy has been named, this guy, the priest, I give him his respect. Now he's the Pope. No, I'm not going to say this guy. The Pope, he's now the new Pope. Steve Bannon called it a week ago.
And I think it's pretty shocking given how the contempt they hold the American Church. The American Church gives so much money, they're afraid it has too much power. So they've never really wanted to have an American Pope. But my understanding is Prevost is one of the ones closest to Francis ideologically.
So if he's closest to Francis ideologically, then we'll have to see how he maybe he's opening his eyes and saying, let's be conservative. Don't know. And I'm not trying, I'm trying so hard not to piss people off, but at the same time, trying to get people to think and engage without people just, don't talk about that. No, we're talking about it. All right, this is a, I believe, a bishop who he got thrown out because of he didn't like what this guy was talking about.
Here we have, age 69, Chicago-born. 2 years ago, Pope Francis chose him to replace Mark Ouellette as prefect of the Vatican's bishops, handling him the task of selecting the next generation of bishops. He worked many years as a missionary in Peru. He is not just considered American, but someone who headed the Commission for Latin America, seen as a reformer, but might be viewed too young for his papacy, blah, blah, blah. He was also the Archbishop in Peru. Also clouded by allegations of covering up sexual abuse claims, which were denied by his diocese.
I don't care if you're a right or left politician. If you've got a stain of that around you, that is enough to cause a lot of scrutiny. Yeah, the church denied it.
What do you know? Good guy, bad guy? Any clue? As we don't have any clue on which direction he leans, except he was selected 2 years ago by Francis.
And he was, as head of the Congregation for Bishops, frankly, in my opinion, he made some really bad choices there, or at least, I mean, of course it was Pope Francis, but he was involved in naming bishops that I find very troubling. So we'll have to keep praying.
Okay. Well, there you have it.
So he had to be, because he's still a active priest, bishop, and he knows what kind of heat can come down on him because he's already experienced it once. He bucked and spoke out against Pope Francis, and Pope Francis called the new pope, who was then a cardinal, and said, hey, rein in your boy. And this guy got chastised from Pope Francis through the current pope, because he was too vocal about things that the Vatican didn't want people to know.
Pope Leo the 14th.
That's an interesting name, Leo the 14th.
Why?
Well, because of the connection of the predecessor, Leo the 13th. He had visions of evil taking the church, and the St. Michael prayer, the St. Michael, the Archangel prayer, came from Leo the 13th. He was in the mid to probably something like 1870-ish, around there was when he was Pope.
Good Pope?
Yeah, he was good. And he was strong in a lot of ways. I'm no scholar of Leo the 13th, but definitely some good signals there. So it's very interesting to choose that name. And, I'm sure they'll ask him why he chose that name, but Leo the 14th, there's significance there.
Okay. Bishop, thank you so much for sharing this moment with me. It's
definitely a memorable chance to talk with you, because in the midst of all this, I mean, you started off by saying white smoke.
I know.
For me, as a Catholic kid, I mean, my heart's been in my throat the whole time.
I know.
Now that we know who it is, an America Pope, I mean, I really never predicted that, because, America is so vilified in so many countries.
Yeah.
But I think the South America connection probably assisted him in that part of it.
Yeah. Well, maybe they got the idea from the meme from Trump.
Yeah.
Bottom line, there's so much stuff out there about this guy, and a lot of it is no good. So I'm just going to show you. You can take it from there and how you want to think about it. This was from Brianna Morello, who used to be with Fox, and she goes, disappointed but expected. And here was a couple of things that this new pope has said back when he wasn't the pope from his social media account. So if you can see this, It says, J.D. Vance is wrong. Jesus doesn't ask us to rank our love for others. On the other side, he's going after Cardinal Dolan. Why Donald Trump's anti-immigrant rhetoric is so problematic. So, are you pro-immigrant? Because one of the things that I've always had a problem with people is I look at the words anti-immigrant. I don't think there's many people here in this chat who are anti-immigrant. See, one of the questions that people need to ask, what was he talking about? Because I don't know many people who are anti-immigrant. There's a word missing. There's a word missing there that most of us have a problem with. It's anti-illegal. Or undocumented, if you want to call it softy. But he didn't say that. And that kind of worries me because you don't even want to call it what it really is. And if you look at the date on that, that was July 31st, 2015, but the one on the left was February 3rd, 2025. So there's a 10-year span there, but in that 10-year span, when I was saying, can somebody change? Well, you had a 10-year span, and here's two tweets, and it pretty much showed no change over those 10 years. He went after J.D. Vance. Interesting. Very interesting. Then I saw this one. This was just Megyn Kelly going, is it too much to hope that some 20-year-old ran the new Pope's X account and never looked at it? Because there was I don't even have time to go through all of it. There's so much stuff that this guy posted. And so her comment, I kind of smiled and said, please tell me that there was some 20-year-old that was hitting the buttons and not this guy. Sorry, not this guy. Not this Pope. Because that would be scary. Hold on, what's this? Next thing here. Where'd I go here? All right. This one, well, this is Bishop Burbridge, and Bishop Burbridge says, we continue to pray for St. George Floyd and his family in his honor, and as we prepare for Pentecost, we ask the Holy Spirit to unite us and heal our wounds. May all hatred, violence, and prejudice be eradicated so that we may live in harmony in the peace of our Lord Jesus. And Robert Prevost, the new Pope, reposted it. Pray for George Floyd. Don't know. How do you take that? What do you make from it? Something else he posted. If you thought that was something, this is Chris Murphy, the senator from Connecticut, who's an absolute nut job. To my colleagues, your cowardice to act cannot be whitewashed by thoughts and prayers. None of this ends unless we do something to stop it. Retweeted by the Pope. Is he denouncing that thoughts and prayers don't work? Because Chris Murphy says to my colleagues, your cowardice to act cannot be whitewashed by thoughts and prayers. And he reposted it. Again, I'm just letting you formulate your own opinion, not judgment. Just look what's out here. What's the next one? Another bishop posted something. I join my voice in prayers to those of my brother bishops that we might work hard to end racism in our hearts and in society. May God give comfort to the family of George Floyd in this time of anguish. Reposted by the Pope, the now Pope. Again, so can somebody change? Or do you think he's still that type of person? This guy dug into his account big time. Look at this one. Saying Trump's bad hombres line fuels racism and nativism. Cali bishops send preemptive blast on DACA repeal. So he was angry, or at least felt strong enough to say that Trump did something wrong by calling people bad hombres and repealing DACA. I told you I wasn't going to make anything up. I was going to show you some things. And then you could, go from there yourself. Next one. I stand with the dreamers and all people who are working toward an immigration system that is fair, just, and moral. Defend DACA. DACA. He reposted it. Yes, this was in September of 2017, but nonetheless, he posted it. Keep going. The church, thank you. This is him actually. We need to hear more from leaders in the church to reject racism and seek justice. Not making anything up. You're hearing what that was in 2020 when he was, basically telling people that, don't talk about racism, do something about it. And I could go on and on and on, literally for hours. Do your own research. Let me take some comments on it, but that's just a small sliver of the stuff that's out there that not people said about him, that he has done himself. So, not sure how you're going to take it if you're Maga, and now if you're happy that this man is now the new Pope. I'm going to make sure I give him his deference. He is the Pope. Love to hear what you guys have to say. Most popes are not really good people. In my opinion, they sacrifice... Ooh, can't say that. Hope for the Pope? Nope. Stay close in your relationship with our Lord and Savior. We need to take every opportunity God gives us to lead people to salvation. I agree with that. I agree with that. A person always talking about racism is usually the racist one. I can tell you as a black guy, I've never taken any platform where I've advocated to stop racism. Since I've been in small tyke, I've never advocated, can we stop racism? Because you know why? Racism has never, ever affected me. Ever. In my life. In my time walking on this planet as a black man, I've never felt any time in my life that racism has held me back from anything. I always thought people who cried about that were using a crutch. And so when I hear people say we got to end racism, number one, you can't. You will never end racism. It just is impossible. You're not going to be able to get inside someone's head and reprogram a stick and say, hey, you shouldn't say that stuff about black people. No, that's their opinion. That's how they may be racist. That's why it never bothered me. I've said on this show many times, I'd rather I walk by somebody and they go, hey, you effing N. And after, they recovered, but I'd rather you tell me that because now I know. Show yourself instead of that kind of stuff. And by the way, having been married to Robin for, let me get this right, 2025, 32 years. And also being married before that. The only people I have even come close to being affected by racism are black people. Yeah. Walking into a store with, back in the day, and Robin was a runway model. I don't know if I ever told you guys that. There's a picture of her up there. Robin was a runway model, and she was hot. And I'd walk into the grocery store or department store, and there would be a black girl or black woman at the cash register doing this kind of stuff. I'm like, what are you looking at? What in the hell are you looking at? Those are the people I felt racism from. Those are the ones who looked at me like I was doing something wrong because I had this beautiful runway model as a wife. She's still a runway model to me, by the way. Even though she's older, that's my runway model. She will always be my runway model. Actually, I shouldn't call her that anymore. She's my wife. But in any event, anyone who, like he says here, talks about ending racism is usually the racist. Let's see here. My brother left the Franciscan priesthood after 20 years. He was disgusted. Barry, she is still hot. I should show you that picture, but it would probably reflect in the lights. You wouldn't even be able to see it. But I remember the first time I walked in her house, and her mom had that picture sitting on like a buffet thing, or whatever. And I was like, whoa. Oh yeah, you ain't ever leaving. Oh man, oh, she's my wife. All right, so anyway, I'm not going to belabor this point. I'm just letting you guys know. Do what you need to do. Think about things. Do your own research. I always tell you, do your own research. Do your own research on everything. Don't leave it up to me. Don't leave it up to the news. Don't leave it up to anybody to tell you what to do. Go ahead and do your own research. And before I go to the next block here, let me just talk to you about what's going on in our economy, because that's the next next block we're bringing up. We're going to talk about the tariffs. But I don't want to beat the dead horse about the Pope. You guys do your own research. I hope I didn't offend you. But these two things, along with stocks that you may want to. This is gold. This is silver. Anybody can afford this. This one's a little bit more expensive, but if you can afford it, get you some. You're going to love what's about to happen in this country. Don't let anybody tell you you can't prosper. Don't let anybody tell you you can't get the brass ring. There are people right now who are just like salivating, seeing what's about to happen. You should be one of them. Talk to you in a minute. We're in a very volatile time right now. There's plenty of financial uncertainty. Now is not the time to be speculative. And I'm also speaking from a personal perspective. I'm buying income-producing real estate, and I'm buying gold and silver. A lot of people don't know the difference between the economy and the stock market. And too many people listen to the news and social media. That'll get you in trouble. Let's face it. It's obvious that a lot of people have an agenda they're not telling you about. Right now, your best bet is stability, and that means you might need to build a hedge against global volatility. May I recommend gold and silver to you? Real gold and real silver, not paper, not certificates, actual gold and silver. What gold and silver can give you is absolute peace of mind. A stock is only as good as the company behind it. It's merely a piece of paper. One of the things I can tell you is that many people are finding out the hard way that some of their investments were built on quicksand. Gold will never be worth zero. Silver will never be worth zero. If you want to calm some of your fears, give my friends at Lear Capital a call today at 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com. Just so you know, Lear Capital has over 27 years of experience, thousands of 5-star reviews, and over $5 billion in trusted transactions. And Lear is the only gold company with a 24-hour risk-free purchase guarantee. You don't pay unless you're 100% satisfied. So go to learberry.com. If you want peace of mind, give my friends at Lear Capital a call at 800-601-5430. Or look down here below and go to learberry.com. And don't forget to ask about getting up to $15,000 in free gold or silver with a qualifying purchase. Don't wait. Do it now. Nobody knows what tomorrow holds. Be safe. All right. I just want to say thank you to the Fanfare community. And if you're new here, I'd like to take a moment and welcome you. If you watch my videos, you've probably realized at this point that this isn't your usual podcast. The difference is that every single day, I try to make this show an open conversation amongst friends. You see, I believe that speaking to friends, here and in your own circle offline, is the best way to push back against all the lies being told by the Democrats and the media. I encourage people in this community to welcome each other, and in doing so become a source of support for those seeking to unplug from the matrix. If you'd like to communicate on a deeper level, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, but if you'd really like to surround yourself with like-minded patriots, Join our free and private X group by going to fanfareshop.org/group. When you join this free group, a few things will happen. One, if you haven't used X before, you can use X without venturing into the sewer that it sometimes can be. Two, you can share content with friends that you meet here. 3, you will get notified every time I go live, so you can't count on YouTube notifications. And 4, and this might be most important, you get content that I can't share on YouTube or Rumble. So please take a moment and join our free and private X group. Just go to fanfareshop.org/group. Remember, it's members only. There are 16,000 plus people in that group right now, getting close to 17,000. To join our free and private members only X group, just go to fanfareshop.org/group. We'll see you there.
Welcome back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, so SV says we're getting close to 17,000 members. It would already be past 17 if X would get some support to fix communities on X, because it's an absolute mess. Got to keep pushing it to hopefully it loads, and if it doesn't load, it doesn't load. And so when I've been posting when I'm going to go live, I used to post it in the community. I still will if I can get in. Other times and I just have to post it. And so now we're going to go into more of a lighter fare. You know, if you had a bad taste in your mouth, if you're still here, we're gonna make that all better. And then later on when we go to Rumble, we're gonna have a really good time. I got a show for you tonight. But you know, somebody had posted here about Robin, and when I said she was a model and everything, when she met me, she really married up. I felt sorry for her. I felt sorry for her. I'm like, you know, I can really, all right, I'll go out with you. And so I didn't find it, but I found a picture that I was talking to you about. that was her picture, well, back in the day. And I was like, oh, yeah, yeah, you're not going anywhere, ever. She's probably going to run in here in a second, hit me in the head for showing that. But I was like, oh, yeah, we're staying here. We're going to love this. All right, so let's move on. Let's go to the next section here. Going to talk about the tariffs right now. Let's talk about that.
This is relatively low-hanging fruit. If you can't get a trade deal with the longest-standing and loyalist United States ally anywhere in the world over generations, you're going to be in trouble when you're dealing with some of the more obstreperous countries around the world, or ones that are more willing to resist your entreaties. And those, to Steve's point, those big three are still out there. There was no sign of a trade deal coming out of that meeting with Mark Carney the other day. And you had Scott Bessent testifying on Capitol Hill this week, acknowledging something that pretty much everybody knew already, which is that although Trump has been saying repeatedly that there are ongoing negotiations with China, that those negotiations have not taken place, have not started up at all. Bessent, of course, recognizing that you can't lie to Congress. It's illegal to do that. So when he was asked directly about it, he had to contradict the president and say, you know, we're just headed off. We haven't done any of those negotiations yet. We have to start having first we have to have a meeting with China just to try to cool the temperature down before we can even get to negotiations. And those are going to be the big issues on the economic front. Wall Street believes that Trump is going to cave on all of this and knock all these deals out at some point. Maybe not 90 in 90 days. Trump's discussion about, you know, dolls and pencils and all the stuff that he's been talking about suggests that he might not be in any hurry to cave. We'll see. But there's a lot riding on it for sure.
And to Trump's,
I only included that one clip about them being negative about the UK deal because that's the only one I found. I was scouring, trying to find people on the different networks that were poo-pooing the tariff deal, and it was slim pickings. I knew there would be somebody out there that would say, oh, that's not a big deal. And what did he just say? What we talked about it this afternoon. You guys heard me talk about it. I told you about my mangoes. He starts off, it's just low-hanging fruit. Not big of a deal, no big of a deal. You know, I don't see why everyone's worked up. It's low-hanging fruit. They can't stand prosperity for you. They don't mind being rich themselves. They don't mind living a limo life. They don't care about that. They don't want it for you. You plebes out there, you're not supposed to enjoy success. Earlier today, I said, you know what, see if you even hear the word success and prosperity on these other networks. And so I did myself. I sat back during lunch and I kept flipping stuff because I DVR them. Never. You never hear the word success or prosperity. That should tell you something. That's like being in a relationship where the other person never says I love you. And you like, this, huh? Yeah, you want to hear it. Tell me I can be successful. Tell me I can be prosperous. What do I need to do? Oh no, Trump's tariff. Oh, it's going to be awful. It's so awful. Well, what's your plan to help me be more prosperous? Oh, well, we'll forgive your student loan and make those guys pay it. Well, that's not solving a problem. I want you to tell me what you're going to do to make people who currently don't enjoy prosperity get a ticket to get on that train. And so now, if I've been telling you that, start listening to what Democrats say. I don't know if you saw I didn't include it, the video from Bernie Sanders, who I think he ended his career. Brett Baer had Bernie Sanders on yesterday, maybe. And he's like, Bernie, you're out there doing this oligarchy tour. You hate the oligarchy. You hate the rich people. And you're flying around in private jets. You spent like $250,000 in private jets. How can you be having an anti-oligarchy tour and living like an oligarch? And you know what Bernie's answer was? What do you expect me to do? Stand in line at United Airlines? He actually said that. What do you expect me to do? Stand in line at the United Airlines? They don't care about you. And these idiots that go see Bernie and AOC, who now know he's flying around the country in a private jet, and then telling you, oh, you know, the oligarchy's doing stuff. You know, the big bad oligarchy, as you guys don't have anything out there. It's all hypocrisy. It's all BS. And the Democrats, for some reason, keep falling for it. This guy, he used to say millionaires and billionaires. He can't say that anymore because he's a millionaire. So now it's just billionaires. He just dropped it from his speaking. Even AOC can't say it anymore. So they changed the wording. Hey, we really can't talk bad about rich people, except let's talk bad about the super rich, the oligarchies. It's a scam on people.
Point, this negotiation or discussion has been going on for a quarter of a century. I mean, it's amazing. Biden very much wanted to do a trade deal with the UK, couldn't get it done. So I think the fact that they accomplished this in record short order, let's remember that most trade deals take years to accomplish. This is a major achievement. And I think they needed it. They needed to show the American public that the tariffs were going to produce something valuable. They did produce something valuable. We're going to have more exports of different kinds of products going to the UK, opening up a country that has been, for all that it's, great ties with the U.S., resistant, particularly to U.S. agriculture. And I was really struck by Brooke Rollins' incredible excitement about exponentially increased shipments of beef, which I think means actually we don't ship much at all. But at least we have now a market for that. And our farmers are very worried about tariffs. This is a very good day for them.
I think
So, Miss MSNBC or CNN or any other liberal, how do you argue with that? Even if you declare this as low-hanging fruit, not that big of a deal, that means it's still a deal. I don't care if the speed bump is this big or this big, it's still a deal. It's better than we were yesterday. If I was in some sort of town hall and they were saying like, it's low-hanging fruit, like I told you this morning, there are a lot of people who would love to eat some low-hanging fruit. The Democrats can't eat. That's why I found that one piece from MSNBC, because how do you argue against success? By saying it's not that big of a deal? It's like being a little bit pregnant. It's a big deal no matter how you strike it.
time you get positive news, you'll get a reaction in the stock market. Sometimes the market, will underreact or overreact. It's what's important to look at are the trends, and the trends we're looking at are, the market's in a great place. The jobs numbers were good. We're going to have more deals in the weeks and months to come. We're talking to China this weekend, the Secretary of the Treasury and I. I think everybody should take comfort and be excited about what's coming. The president has shown that he knows how to use trade policy in connection with other economic tools to have a very competitive economy, and that's what we're seeing right now. And the market is just one aspect of that.
Breaking news into the Fanfare news feed.
All right, everybody, got something for you. It may not be breaking to everybody. It's been talked about for a little bit, actually in the last hour or so. But did you know that Judge Jeanine Pirro decided she's no longer working for Fox? That she has decided that she's, going to move on? Yes, I am sandbagging everybody because her new job is boom. I am pleased to announce that Judge Jeanine Pirro will be appointed the interim United States Attorney for the District of Columbia. I'm going to come back to this in a second about the interim stuff. It's very important that you focus on this. Jeanine was Assistant District Attorney for Westchester County, New York, and then went on to serve as a county judge and district attorney, where she was the first woman ever to be elected to those positions. During her time in office, Jeanine was a powerful crusader for victims of crime. Her establishment of the Domestic Violence Bureau and her prosecutor's office was the first in the nation. She excelled in all ways. In addition to her legal career, as you all know, Jeanine previously, as like an hour ago, hosted her own Fox News show, Justice with Judge Jeanine, for 10 years, and is no longer the co-host of The Five, one of the highest rated shows on television. Jeanine is incredibly well qualified for this position and is considered one of the top district attorneys in the history of the state of New York. She is a class by herself. Congratulations, Jeanine. So let me just tell you what President Trump did. And let me be the first one to tell you in case you didn't realize it. He just beat the pants off the Democrats. I almost think this was his strategy all along. Why is that, Barry? Well, everybody knows that Ed Martin was who he wanted to be as the U.S. attorney in the District of Columbia. And he had to have him done by May 20th, or else Judge Boasberg was going to nominate him. And what he did was smoke out some more rhinos once again. Tom Tillis, pack your bags. Pack your bags. You're done real soon. You were found out, bro. You're done, and you're probably going to get investigated and may go to jail with Letitia James. We'll get to that. You exposed yourself, and now you're going to get destroyed. So here's the strategy. He knows. Remember the whole thing way back when everyone was talking about recess appointments? And we were wondering how he's going to get certain people through. Well, over the last month or so, he has seen the resistance to Ed Martin. Ed Martin would have been great if they could have got him approved. But even the Republicans were going to hold up his nomination. So what did President Trump do? To use a pun, he trumped them. Here's why. Notice in this Truth Social post, he says, and you have to pay particular attention to the first sentence. I am pleased to announce that Judge Jeanine Pirro will be appointed interim United States Attorney for the District of Columbia. Do you know why that's important? Well, I'm going to tell you. It's important because it doesn't require Senate confirmation. She can now serve for 120 days without any Senate confirmation. So you're like, Barry, well, that sucks. What happens at the end of 120 days? He can put Ed Martin right back in. And Ed could serve another 120 days. And then what happens then? He could put Jeanine Pirro back in. If you stay within that 120-day time frame, you can just keep rotating out interims. if that's the road he chooses to go down, he could just keep going, oh no, well, we're going to bring Ed back and try him again. We can't do it. Oh, we're going to bring Janine back. Hey, how about if we bring Matt Gaetz in? How about if we do this and do that? So right now, what's probably happening in Washington is, what's his name? Ed Martin is probably sitting and huddling with Judge Janine and saying, here's what I'm working on. Here's the different files for you to get up to speed. Here's my staff. So it's seamless. And they can spend from now until, May 20th, just going over all this different stuff. Most importantly, now he can appoint a special counsel. And it might likely be Ed Martin. Trump trumped them. Trump showed them who the boss really is. And he can just keep doing it. And there's nothing the Democrats can do about it, which is probably why the lady went and spit on Ed Martin today. I don't know if you saw that video. I didn't want to show it tonight. But she walked up and spit in his face. They know at this point, oh man, we've been had. We've been absolutely had. I got to show you something. I posted this on X earlier, and I missed it while we were live earlier. So I want you guys to see this because I missed it when we were live, and I want to show it to you right now. Where did I do that? Where did I put it? Wait a minute, 1 second, because this was simply amazing to me when I saw this. What do you notice about this picture? Well, you got Howard Lutnick. Obviously you have J.D. Vance. You have President Trump talking on the phone to the Prime Minister of the UK. You have the UK ambassador. You have Brooke Rollins, who is the, what do you call her? Agriculture Secretary. And then I forget the other guy's name who's standing there. But what else do you notice in this picture? Look closely. There's something here you should be noticing that wasn't there before. All right, so I'm going to take it off the screen now. You tell me, what do you notice that all of a sudden has showed up right next to him? A whole table all by itself. Look at it. That's Andrew Jackson. In addition to having a portrait of Andrew Jackson on the wall, now President Trump, knowing that the world was going to see this, that he was going to be on film. Remember, he was delayed like 35, 40 minutes coming into this morning. Like, what the heck's he doing? And all of a sudden you notice there's some extra furniture sitting there that wasn't there yesterday. Maybe someplace else in the room, but now it's front and center for the entire press worldwide to see. Let me show it to you again in case you missed it. There's a statue right there of Andrew Jackson. Now people are like, go back to it. There it is. This man communicates very strongly. It's called a comm. He's talking to somebody and he let them, right there's Andrew Jackson. You know what the significance of Andrew Jackson is. And knowing how President Trump operates, and you just saw it with Janine Pirro, and how he's just going to keep rotating them because he's tired of dealing with these Democrats. Boom. Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson was the president who told basically the Supreme Court to go shove it. And you're not the boss of me. And today, the boss pulled a serious boss move by saying, hey, Judge Janine, can you come on here, leave for the 5, you can come in here, and we'll just, I won't even appoint anybody else, I'll just keep naming interims. Now what are you going to do? Boss move. Huge boss move. And so now she can serve for 120 days without having any sort of public confirmation. Boom. That's huge. All right. So he also had this. True Social post that I wanted to show you as well, just so you guys could see that picture, because a lot of people missed it, including myself. And then after, I was like, is that who I think it is? Yes, that's who it is. Today is an incredible day for America as we deliver our first fair, open, and reciprocal trade deal, something our past presidents never cared about. Together with our strong ally, the United Kingdom, we have reached the first historic trade deal since Liberation Day. As a part of this deal, America will raise $6 billion in external revenue. Again, not by accident. He just didn't say $6 billion in revenue. $6 billion in external revenue. From 10% tariffs, $5 billion in new export opportunities for our great ranchers, farmers, and producers, enhanced national security of both the U.S. and the U.K. through the creation of an aluminum and steel trading zone and a secure pharmaceutical supply chain. This deal shows you that if you respect America, and bring serious proposals to the table, America is open for business. Many more to come. Stay tuned. You don't think that's telling somebody something? You show respect to America. This man doesn't mince words. He doesn't put words in there that don't have any meaning. This deal shows that if you respect us and bring serious proposals, we're open for business. And I'm like, as I'm reading some of this stuff, I'm like, oh man, he's smacking somebody down. I'm like, you better show me some respect. Yes, that's who I want in office. I want someone who's not afraid to tell other countries, you need to respect America. And that's what he did. All right, let's continue.
So last week you sat down with my colleague Brian Sullivan and you said there's a deal, we're on the precipice of announcing it. Was it this deal with the UK that you were referencing?
It was, but you know, Donald Trump, he made it better. That's the way it works. So I had the deal done, and then we showed it to the president, and he said, what's the next move you want to make? And then he made the call to the Prime Minister of the UK, and he made the deal better. And you just got to let the best deal maker in the world make his deals. He really fights for America, and he delivers for America, and it's so much fun to work for him.
Do you have anything else that's close to the finish line here, waiting in the wings?
But what happens, and you've seen it in this deal, I mean, look at the depth, the rigor, and the intensity. So many products, so many details. This is not sort of a soft deal. This is a detailed, analytical model between two countries, really getting it right for us both. So when you start doing bigger and bigger economies, remember, Britain is the 6th largest in the world. Mm-hmm. As you get to these bigger and bigger economies, there's just a huge amount of work, a huge amount. And, you know, you talk about India, Japan, Korea. I mean, these are just huge. In the European Union, wow, there's so much work. And they just take time, but we're going to
Wait. You see what he threw in there? The European Union and Korea. Wait, back up. I thought this morning the European Union was trying to play badass, telling Americans, hey, we're going to do this to you and do that to you. And in that sentence, he just went about European Union and then Korea. And the reporter from CNBC didn't say anything. Wait, I've got this tweet here, Howard, and it looks like the European Union wants to tell you to go pound sand. You're making it sound like you have an imminent deal with the EU. Is that possible? Oh yeah, yeah. We're about to do some business with them because they learned respect and they got serious. Respect and serious. And so right now the Democrats, you know, they're in a bad way. You check your watches or check your phones or check your computer and you look down and you're like, we're still what, day 104, 106? 100 days into this presidency and he's bringing the world to heel? How do you complain about that? Oh, you said he was going to do it on day one. Okay, not day one. He didn't end the Ukraine war on day one. Oh, it's taken 110. Oh, we're sorry. How long did your guy do it? No, he couldn't do anything. In less than 100 days. And then sometimes it's funny because I know people sit back and go, is all this happening this fast? I mean, talk about flooding the zone. Is all of this happening this fast? Just keep pushing. no let up. And the Democrats got Jasmine Crockett out there screaming and AOC and Bernie talking trash and nothing of substance. If it weren't for Republicans getting in the way, I can't even imagine what would happen. It seems like they're just trying to slow everything down. And it's crazy.
Can you get there by July 8th?
I think we will get there by July 8th. I think what the president's been saying is what we're going to start to do is we're going to start to have templates. So we'll do a small country or two, and then we'll have a template, and we'll say, you know what? These 20 or 30 countries are economically similar. Let's go over their products. Let's go get it right. And let's go give them the model of how they want to do it. And if they want to modify it a little bit, that's fine. But you're going to see over the next month or so, we're going to roll out dozens of deals.
Okay.
Because we'll find categories of countries that it'll work out just fine.
So
these guys, it's like the dark ages, Larry. They forgot how to do tariffs and fair trade. They think NAFTA, where you take the factory out of Michigan and Ohio and move it to Mexico, is a winning move. But that's not the winning move for GDP. We're going to cut the trade deficit. If we cut the trade deficit 25%, easy to do. That's 1 point GDP. You build a couple of trillion in factories, 2 points GDP. That's the President of the United States driving 3 points of GDP. And then, just like you said, if the average tariff rate for the world ends up being 15% on average, that's $450 billion a year. Now, Congress doesn't.
How much? What'd you say? $450 billion a year. Yummy. Prosperity, success for all.
Score that, because it's not their pen, it's the president's pen, but you know what's happening to our deficit, and you know what that's going to do to interest rates. It's going to drive them down, and we're going to deliver on Donald Trump's promise. And I meet the trade minister of Indonesia, and he says, we're the largest car manufacturer in the world. And you'd say, really? Indonesia? He says, yes, we make Matchbox cars. Right? So, that's fine. So what do we want? We want a low tariff on those kind of products, right? And a higher tariff on products that make a difference to us, semiconductors, pharmaceuticals, things that matter that we want to reshore. We want to do that smart. I think you saw a lot of smart in today's deal. And I think what you're going to see is Donald Trump is going to deliver incredibly smart, thoughtful, and rigorous trade deals that are going to be great for America. Remember, if we have a $1.2 trillion trade deficit and we cut that 25%, only 25%, that means we export another $300 billion. That's 1 point of GDP produced by the guy who sits behind me in that White House. 1 point of GDP just by him. And then if you start building those factories that he's talked about, that's another 2 points of GDP. That's 3 points a year driven by the guy in the Oval Office. Is pretty cool. 80 years ago.
Yeah, I think I'd say so. The External Revenue Service, the ERS, instead of the IRS, the ERS is starting to take shape. Who knows, by next April, maybe we won't have to pay income tax. The Democrats are going to freak completely if we get to a point where we no longer need that to happen. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be a bunch of Republicans that complain as well. Maybe it might not be a bad idea to let all these rhinos expose themselves for 2026 so that President Trump can show people we're ready. We're making it happen. It's these idiots that are holding us back. And of course, the Democrats as well. There are certain people in certain areas that you're never going to be able to vote out because they cheat. But at least he's showing that the External Revenue Service can actually work.
The UK troops and American troops walked hand in hand and liberated Europe. And it's symbolic that the liberation from the trade war that's being waged against America starts today with this great deal between the UK and the United States. There's going to be a lot of these to come. Trust in Trump. He promised you that he would do this kind of thing. But I think the bigger part of this deal, Will, if you break it down, is it's a template for how we are proceeding with all the other countries. It's like fingerprints. They all cheat us in different ways. So you have to attack their higher tariffs, the non-tariff barriers, which in many ways are the worst part of the whole problem. the digital taxes, and all of this IP theft and all of that. So this is a good deal. I want to make one small correction there, so this doesn't take on a life of its own. We're not getting rid of all tariffs on steel and aluminum. There will be an alternate agreement that we're hashing out. The Brits are going to be very happy with that, but that's not what we're doing.
It's the biggest bill of its kind ever in the history of this country. And Speaker Johnson and Leader Thune have done an incredible job. I mean, I'll let you know we have to get a vote, but we have a lot of support for that bill. And if that happens on top of all of these trade deals that we're doing, this country will hit a point that you better go out and buy stock now. Let me tell you, this country will be like a rocket ship that goes straight up. This is going to be numbers that nobody's ever seen before. That's a very important element of all of this. You know, if we get that, if you don't, and the Democrats are fighting it only because they want to fight. They have Trump derangement syndrome. You know, if it was somebody else, they wouldn't fight. If you had a normal person, if you had some stiff sitting behind you, they'd be fine. But they have Trump derangement syndrome. You know, Senator Schumer's become a Palestinian. Welcome. I don't know when they're going to give him the ceremony, whatever the ceremony may be. But it's terrible what's happened to the Democrats. So very, very important element of everything, of what we're doing.
Did you see the faces of the press? Just like they got hemorrhoids and they can't stand there anymore. Like, wow, this guy's laughing at us. He's looking at us in the face as Democrats and laughing at us, realizing he's putting a stake in your heart. Speaking about putting a stake in people's heart, start buying stuff or getting ready to buy stuff. But I got some additional breaking news.
Breaking news into the Fanfare news feed.
All right, so we had just talked about this. We just said, you know, you guys thinking that Ed Martin is going to go right off into the sunset? Now that Jeanine Pirro is now going to be the new interim attorney, U.S. attorney for the District of Columbia? Nope, he's not riding off into the sunset. Here we go. And this was at 7:17 p.m. Ed Martin has done an amazing job as the interim U.S. attorney and will now be moving to the Department of Justice as the new director of the Weaponization Working Group, Associate Deputy Attorney General, and Pardon Attorney. Who came up with that title? The director of the Weaponization Working Group, Associate Deputy Attorney General, and Pardon Attorney. In these highly important roles, Ed will make sure we finally investigate the weaponization of our government under the Biden regime and provide much needed justice for its victims. OMG. He essentially just, without having to file the documents for a special prosecutor, he just created a whole new position. An entirely new position that will do the same thing as a special prosecutor without the need of confirmation. Andrew Jackson's riding through the White House right now. He's on that horse. This man is ready to kick. I mean, why am I excited? Read what he just did. I brought in Jeanine Pirro. She's going to sit at this desk. You're still going to be here, so you're going to be able to talk to her about everything else. Walk down the hall, find out what's going on, and you guys are going to be able to speak and have meetings about what you uncovered when you were the interim U.S. attorney. I'm telling you right now, you people in Washington, D.C., who tried to screw this man, get in your jets, go to someplace in Africa, find out where there's no extradition terms, and get the hell out. He's coming for you. 7:17, he just said, game on. Game effing on. And every single one of you in here now know why that Andrew Jackson statue was there. This is a boss move of boss moves, and I can't believe people aren't just going nuts over this. Maybe they are. We've been on here since 7 o'clock. But, oh my gosh, what this was going to do. And then, of course, what do we got here? We have Ed Martin posting about it. Thank you, Mr. President. We will make America great again. Wow, 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 wow. The pens are going to go up in stock. Maybe that's what you buy, because there's a whole bunch of people in Washington right now who just soiled their underwear. You've been had. You have had checkmate. There's nothing you can do. There's no judge who can stop him from creating a position. They're done. This is, oh my God. That spitter getting her door kicked in tonight. Yep. Toy, yeah, they need to leave. President Trump is not playing with them. I hope you see that picture now and see what just happened. Oh, you're not going to give me Ed Martin on a permanent basis. That's okay. I'll bring in Judge Janine. She'll sit here. And it's only interim, so I don't need your approval. And now I'm also going to take Ed Martin and give him a new position to come after you. He's not even hiding it now. Oh, man. Trump is also making insider trading difficult. Oh, yeah. Barry, did you see what? What did that say? No, I haven't seen the movie Conclave. Oh, my gosh. I can't even. This is the ultimate FAFO. They were wondering, and everybody, he kept saying he's going to go after his enemies. What's going to happen? He's going to go after people. Well, now you know for sure. He actually put it in writing. There's no more doubt. There is nothing that you have to wonder. Is he going to go after us? Is he going to, use his power as the president to make our lives hell? Let me just let you see that one more time. And you can read the exact words here. Where is that? He is now going to be, where is it? The director, hold on. Director of the Weaponization Working Group, Associate Deputy Attorney General, which means he's got a whole lot of power, and the pardon attorney. And he's going to go after, he actually put his name in there, the Biden regime. Oh, my job is getting to be so much fun. I can't wait till people in Washington who might be out to dinner tonight or checking their phones going, what? Do you hear what Trump did now? Oh. The 911. I like to report. Oh, they're freaking. He didn't even hold it back. I want you to understand that. The strength of what he just said. I'm creating a position to go after the Biden regime. Now you don't have to wonder. Do what you need to do. Shredding. Too late. We've already done all that forensics. We got all kinds of stuff on you. While you were waiting to make sure I couldn't get Ed Martin confirmed, while you're doing all those backdoor deals using Tom Tillis and some other rhinos, you thought you were going to stop me. But guess what? Now I'm going to drop a huge, huge, huge chip on the table. And I'm coming for you. Wow, this man is crazy. He is so good. I got butt puckering on line one. Oh, this is beautiful. This would never have happened if they didn't steal 2020. Exactly. Winning. King me move. Exactly. I can't. I could write the script for tomorrow's shows. Tomorrow's shows are going to be like, I can't believe it. There's no one ever in history who's gone after their political opponent. Except us. They're hoping you don't remember. No one's ever done this. You don't go after a political opponent. Oh my gosh, this is so authoritarian. Nobody does this stuff. Forgetting that they don't want you to remember what happened last year. Oh. Letitia? Letitia, you are so screwed, you don't even know what's coming. You are going to get bled dry and then put in jail. It's coming, girl. Just sit back and think of all the people who started stuff instead of just letting the man do what he needs to do. Unbelievable. He didn't spend the last 4 years just playing golf. No. Oh my gosh. It's unbelievable. It's a done deal. No, you couldn't write a movie this good. But understand what happens right now. Danger happens. Danger is going to happen. I always talk about gold and silver. I'm not going to put that on anymore. Right now. Now you have to anticipate, how does this animal fight back? What does this animal do? Because we've seen all the polls, fake or otherwise, that show nobody's listening to them anymore. They're not swaying anything. His numbers keep going up. So, we can't do that. What's left? Violence. Now they have to go to the streets. Now they have to activate people. There's nothing left for them to do. They can't depend on the courts, because Trump's letting you know who Andrew Jackson is, and at this point he's going for you. And I wouldn't doubt if he already knows, I can't charge these people in Washington, because if I charge them in Washington, we're going to get somebody like Judge Boasberger again, who's just going to let him off. So are we going to see it? Maximus, I don't know. Any of you guys who are involved in military, how do you get it from a court to a military tribunal? You see, if he can find a way to get these people tried in a military tribunal, they just go ahead and kiss your ankles. You're done. See, they count on Washington being the cesspool it is because they own all the judges. So it's got to be something in his mind where he can get these people out of Washington. And if he can get them out of Washington and try them in some other jurisdiction, like a military tribunal, kiss the baby. You're done. Bye. Big sentences. So understanding the chess game that you're seeing, because I'm just thinking right now, it's going through my head, is if he's making these moves, then he probably already has enough to charge them. You're not going to do all this and just say, well, see what you can find out. And a good indicator to me, as I mentioned earlier, was watching Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, not Pam Bondi, Kristi Noem at these meetings today. They were so defiant. It was almost as if they were telling the people on these panels, F off. I mean, it was that strong. Yep, SV, I got that already. But obviously, I can't play that until after the jump. So let me just tell you, James O'Keefe dropped another video, but I can't play that until after we jump over. So let me finish the next section, and then we will start to jump over, because I can then play James O'Keefe's new video. I haven't seen it. I don't know what it has in it, but we'll all take a look at it together. All right, so let's go to the next block. It's pretty short. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. Mr. President, since you left office, there have been a number of books that have come out, deeply sourced from Democratic sources, that claim in your final year there was a dramatic decline in your cognitive abilities. In the final year of your presidency, what is your response to these allegations, or are these sources wrong?
They are wrong.
Why are you asking him? He doesn't know. How bad is it for the Democrat Party? You can't bring out Hillary. You can't bring out Bill. You can't bring out Big Mike. You can't bring out Barack. So instead, you wheel this corpse out and tell him to get back in the game? Seriously? You think anybody wants to see this dude? Wow.
There's nothing to sustain that, number one. Number two, think of what we were left with. We were left with a circumstance where we had an insurrection.
Yeah, we did. No, we didn't.
Not since the Civil War. We had a circumstance where we were in a position that the pandemic, because of the incompetence of the last outfit, end up over 1 million people dying. 1 million people dying. And we're also in a situation where we found ourselves unable to deal with a lot of just basic issues. and which I won't go into in interest of time.
You feel sad. I do. I mean, at this point, it doesn't really matter how you feel about this guy, except for the fact that you have to, at this point, just say to yourself, why? Why? Jill, why? He's obviously two sheets done. There's nothing you can do anymore. And you're going to wheel him out there and have him get on national television where every person on this panel knows we're talking to a corpse. Oh my God, what are we doing? Oh, it only gets worse from here.
And so we went to work and we got it done. And, one of the things and
Alyssa, one of the things I think is that the people who wrote those books were not in the White House with us. And they didn't see how hard Joe worked
Notice how she had to jump in because he couldn't contain thoughts. And so she decides she's going to jump in and finish the conversation.
every single day. I mean, he'd get up, he'd put in a full day, and then at night I'd be in bed, reading my book, and he was still on the phone reading his briefings, working with staff. I mean, it was nonstop. It's the White House. Being president is not like a job. It's a lifestyle. It's a life that you live. You live it 24 hours a day.
And all those women are Democrats, and they must be just thinking, oh, God, what do we do? But here's where it went off the rails. I couldn't put any subtitles because this was really bad. Listen to this.
The projects, the benefits. How do you lead the world without having the best infrastructure in the world? How do you lead the world without having the best healthcare in the world? How do you lead the world without having the best education system in the world? How do you lead the world when you don't have that done?
All right, 11.
Did you understand any of that? And the problem that he has is because all the way back when he was running, everybody around him, just like the people on that stage, just nodded. Yeah, what? What did he just say? Speaking in tongues? It's insane. But here's why he's back out on the road.
O'clock this morning, the Bidens are live on The View here in Gotham City. There's a story in Politico today that says they've hired the former Pentagon spokesperson to manage the Biden comeback. I'm paraphrasing, kind of, that Joe Biden wants to be out there. The 100 days is over. He wants to be prepared for the books that are coming out that will be critical of him. He wants to speak out against Donald Trump. He wants to defend his reputation. Politico is also reporting that the audio of the special counsel Hur of his interview with Joe Biden that caused her to judge Biden an elderly man with a poor memory, that the Trump administration is going to release that audio. And that.
All right, did you hear that? Did you hear that piece? President Trump is, they said, considering, which means it's happening. They are going to release the audio that proves this guy was completely lost as president of the United States. What do you think that's a precursor for? When you hear this tape and you hear that the president of the United States was a bumbling fool, couldn't remember anything, and they actually put it out there to the public, and they show everybody this guy had no clue what was going on. What do you think the end result that they're trying to get with that? Well, let me give you a hint. And this is important, okay? So if they're going to release that, which they just said they would, and they're going to let people know what's going to happen when you release it, what do you think happens next? Maybe they're going to go after all those pardons and say that he didn't do it or he was incapable of it. Then who would prosecute that? If he found out that all these pardons were, crap and this auto pen stuff, who would be the person that would prosecute that? Oh, this guy right here. Boom. In his new role as a director of Weaponization Working Group, Associate Deputy Attorney General, and Pardon Attorney. You got to follow the breadcrumbs. So what? They're going to release this tape now, huh? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And this guy's out there trying to do something before all this stuff happens. He knows what's coming. He absolutely knows what's coming. Jill knows what's coming. And they're like, okay, we got to get him out there and show people. Plus, we need money.
Biden's gearing up to fight back on all fronts. Now, you could say, as we've discussed, Biden's doing this to fight back, or Biden's doing this for his reputation. I talked to someone very familiar with the Bidens, and I think they've pointed out something that I'm going to say now that, to me, is the explanation, or at least part of the explanation, which is Biden Inc. has collapsed. All those Biden grandkids had a lavish lifestyle, which they very much liked. Hunter made hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars. Joe, as a former president, is not in a position to get the same kind of paid speeches, corporate boards, book deal. Biden Inc. needs a source of revenue. And
how possibly, in what world, how is this guy possibly out of money? See, he broke this story and said this, but then you have to think, how is he out of money? How is it possible that a former president is out of cash? Everybody who leaves the office cashes in except for President Trump. How is he out of cash? Is it possible they've already seized some of his money? And nobody is talking about that? Because I don't see how this man could have went through 4 years with the amount of money he stole, with the amount of money he misappropriated, with his crackhead son. How are they hurting for money? That's a big enigma to me. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? How can he just think to yourself? I don't know the answer. I'm sure you don't know the answer. But just think from all the stories you heard about how much money they were taking in from all these different countries and how he was involved. Have they already seized bank accounts? Because I would think this guy's got tens of millions parked in offshore accounts somewhere. He should never even have to worry about ever making a speech the rest of his life. See, but there's two sides to having to make speeches, which is problematic. If you're living a certain lifestyle, imagine you're, I don't know, remember the movie, which one was it? Not Bronx Tale, Goodfellas, where they knocked off the Brinks truck, or in the airport, the Lufthansa, and they got like $6 million. And they're like, no, nobody go out and spend anything, because if you start spending stuff, people are going to wonder where you got the money from. So you got to lay low. And then guys started spending the money and flashing cash and getting new Cadillacs and stuff. And they all started getting ice picked in the back of the head. Because you're not supposed to show, because you've got no substantiation where the money's coming from. So now all of a sudden Joe Biden's out of office and he's got money parked in offshore accounts. And you can't bring it in because now they're watching you. Okay, so you're retired now. Yeah, okay. Don't make a wire transfer from the Caymans. Don't make a wire transfer from Ukraine. Inquiring minds are going to want to know once a wire comes into any of the Biden accounts. So if you parked that money in different places around the world because you're like, I just access it once I retire and I'm out of office, we'll be sitting pretty. And now you can't sit pretty anymore because you can't access that money. It's sitting someplace maybe. I'm supposing here because I think we all can agree there's no way this guy can be out of cash. So what's happening in my mind is he can't access the cash. There's no way Hunter snorted up all that money. Remember, his brother, his brother's wife, his daughter, all these people were getting paid big time, and all of a sudden there's no money. There's no way he spent it. He just can't access it. So they're already watching him. Already knowing, okay, how much does he have in an account right now? Oh, all right, so he's got like 1 million in an account. Okay, so if you see a big deposit, what's the easiest way to launder money? Well, Hunter's art. Number 2, let me get out there and make some $1 million speech. So if I make $1 million speech, I can show, hey, I'm getting paid a lot of money, and that's how I'm living my lifestyle. But if nobody's hiring you to do a speech because you can't talk, it's going to be very hard to justify where money's coming from, especially if somebody's watching your account. So I think Joe Biden and Jill Biden have been put into crosshairs, and right now they are looking at their accounts. They probably have big balls or somebody from Elon's people going, just let me know if anything hits from Switzerland, any country around the world. Let me know if they get a nice big chunk of money. And he's done.
Hunter does, even though he was pardoned and he's not going to prison, Hunter does not have great earning capacity. And you look at the rest of the family.
Wait. The paintings aren't worth a lot?
No, the paintings are not worth a lot. So what I'm positing for you guys to weigh in on, Dan first, is my source right? Is what at least part of this is about, is the reality that Biden Inc., the trough is empty. The spigot has shut down. They need a way to get back in the game to make big money, to have the grandchildren fed and clothed and flown first class, etc.
He said that the famous Zelensky Oval Office confrontation was, quote, beneath America. What would you say to the former president?
Well, I think it's rich for Joe Biden to comment on anything that we're doing when it comes to Russia and Ukraine, because, of course, under Biden's administration, Russia launched the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. And if we wanted to take advice from anybody on foreign policy, especially foreign policy in Europe, it would not be Joe Biden. So I wish Joe Biden the best. I don't really care what he has to say about American foreign policy, because so much of what he actually did was a total disaster. If we just did the opposite of what Joe Biden did, I think we'd have one of the most successful foreign policy administrations in a very long time. So he can spend his time on the beach or doing whatever Joe Biden does. We'll continue trying to fix the problems that he created.
So JD threw it down. I don't care what he does. Somebody has a question here. Spud and Ginger. She says, doesn't he get $350 a year from U.S. taxpayers? Yeah, I think it's $400,000 actually. I think it's like $400,000 after taxes. That would be probably about $280, $290. And that can't keep Jill in the lifestyle she's become accustomed to. Jill's been flying around on private jets for the last 4 years. No, last 8 years. Well, before that, with when he was vice president. She's got a certain amount of maintenance that she has to have. And then Joe and his daughter and everybody else flying around the world on private jets and, doing all this stuff. And now for you and me, maybe that's a good amount of money, $280,000. For Big Joe, he can't live on that. He can't live on $280,000, $300,000 net. No, no possible way. So now they are in the crosshairs in my mind. And if they drop this tape, the Democrat Party again takes a huge 50 caliber shot that I don't think they're going to be able to recover from. Oh man, Biden isn't doing anything. Everyone else is making him. That's peanuts for them. Yeah, $300,000. They probably can't even turn the lights on in their properties for $300,000 a year. Exactly, Beth. Welcome. Crack alone costs $250. Oh, welcome to the real world. Yeah. Everybody was living large. His brother. Did you see the house his brother had? His brother. He and Jill. Hunter and his new wife. They're all living large. And now none of them are making any money. Jill's not working. Oh yeah, Dr. Jill. She's not working. Hunter, he's not working. In fact, I believe, didn't we hear that he got disbarred? So he's not working as an attorney, and I guess the fake art money went away. You can't do that at all. Hold on, let me put that back up because you guys need that. So, good luck. Good luck. Now you got Ed Martin watching everything, and games are about to begin. All right, everybody. We're about to make the jump, and that jump is to Rumble. So I want everybody to make sure you got the link. Mods, if you could let people know, we're jumping over to Rumble here to finish the show. Thank you guys for joining us on YouTube, in case you don't want to. By the way, Rumble is available on Roku. A lot of people had been emailing me saying they had to sign up or register or something like that. No, you don't have to. You don't have to do that at all. It's free. but you just have to get there, and you can watch it on your TV if you go to rumble.com/Roku or something like that, or Roku, and just search for it, and then look for my thumbnail. So in about 90 seconds, we are going to jump over. So I appreciate you if you'd like to join us. We're about to rock out. We're about to rock out big time. You're going to like it. I'm telling you, you're going to like it. So let me go ahead and play the break, and when you wake up, you'll be in Rumbleland. Rumbleland. Let's do this. SB just wait, what happened? SB just reminded me I kind of screwed up because I didn't read the super chats. So before we jump over, let's go ahead and read the super chats because I definitely want to make sure I cover that. The car czar, he's anti-women and clergy and anti-same. Okay. That's a start. He's talking about the new pope, obviously. Great. Good to know. Just another knucklehead. I'm thinking, is this Guido Sartucci? Wow, you're going way back, way back. Susie McComas, biblical decrement, not the same as judgment. Okay. Skylark, he only said the name of Jesus once in his greeting. Interesting. Very interesting. Nathan Hardcastle. It sounds like MSM questioning is getting a little bit better in substance and staying on topic from the last Oval Office presser with the president. Yeah, I think they're starting to realize it's doing no good to look like idiots. Nathan Hardcastle about trade. Looks like they're starting to break free from the one-track questioning they usually do, but I won't hold my breath. Let's see what they do when they get back in front of Caroline Leavitt. The Roman Catholic Church is as bad as the synagogue of Satan. Ouch! Tommy Radcliffe, hey brother, do you remember Chevy Chase in Christmas Vacation at the Cosmetics concert? Chevy's funniest scene ever with model saleswomen. She didn't come and get me, so she didn't see that. Donna, my father was an evangelist. I pray only to the Holy Trinity. Theology tells us the last pope will come with great controversy and with an unusual name. Time for Jesus. Watch the sky and be ready to fly. Hold on. I got to do that. Tamara, thank you very much. Trumpinator, Trump's about to get on a horse. Go full on Andrew Jackson. Nathan Hardcastle, I hate to use Andrew because of my ancestry, but now I see there's great quality he had that my ancestors would appreciate. Damn. Caleb McIntosh, Cardinal Robert Serra was my pick, Barry. Don't know him, but I respect that. Cynthia J. Barry, I hear a lot of people talking about shortages soon. I would like to listen to your opinion. My opinion is don't listen to them. In fact, let me just finish with this. They were talking about there being no cargo containers in the ships of port and all these different things. And then someone in Long Beach, California, filmed the port packed with containers. But understand, when you hear packed with containers and shortages because people aren't shipping here, what does that tell you? As a thinking adult, What does that tell you? Well, let me tell you what it tells you. It means it's coming from another country. So what's my opinion, you say, in terms of, shortages? Buy American. It's that simple. Donna, I just got goose. Yeah, Judge Janine will clean house. Ooh, that's going to be epic. Brad Crane, do you feel like I do repeat? No. There's too much music out there to repeat. Amy Lewis, thank you very much. CR, they keep bringing him back. Poor Joe. You got to feel sorry for him. Maximus, Barry, we have been preparing for this for a while, and suspension of habeas corpus allows him to bypass the courts. Maximus, do you think that's coming? Because I've talked to a lot of guys in law enforcement, and that's like you're burning the whole. That's it. If you go there, oh man, I'd like to know if you guys were preparing for that. Conservative Black Nation, Rand Paul's a snake too. He's exposed himself. John Owens, thank you, Barry. Thank you. NJ Sound, exactly. The corruption runs deep. And George Pell, Barry, I am Cambodian. My wife is Latina. We think racism is an attitude, not color of our skin. You are 100% right. It's an attitude. And just like with anybody else who has an attitude, I don't let people who have those attitudes bother me at all. Not whatsoever. So now I'm going to play like the last a few minutes of the break. And then we'll be see you on the other side on Rumble. Better be ready to rock.